Sugar Rashad Evans was a former light heavyweight champion of the UFC, heavyweight winner of The Ultimate Fighter Season 2, UFC Hall of Fame inductee, and is currently an ESPN commentator. Several years ago, he went through some remarkable transformations that we're going to talk with him about.
I was kind of feeling like I was getting a little bit pre-diabetic, wake up and my mouth tastes like alcohol. You feel like trash because of what you eat. If you eat death, you become death. If you want life, you got to eat life. Like I lost my taste for meat. I stopped eating it and I started feeling pretty good not eating it. And then like my body started changing in ways that it seems almost as if it's like supernatural. Like I was gaining a sixth sense. It was a high vibrational foods that I was eating, and I was having like these crazy vivid dreams, and it was just it was an awakening.
Any further ado, I want to bring on the one, the only Sugar Rashad Evans. Was a former light heavyweight champion of the UFC, heavyweight winner of The Ultimate Fighter Season 2, UFC Hall of Fame inductee, and is currently an ESPN commentator. And several years ago, he went through some remarkable transformations that we're going to talk with him about right now. So, Rashad, what is going on?
What's going on, man? A big fan. I've been following you for years, man. When I first started to change over everything, my diet and everything, you were one of the ones I was looking at, trying to get information and learning.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it means a lot. So tell us a little bit about the origin story. When did you start to go in this direction and why? What was that initial inspiration?
Yeah, it was about 3.5, almost 4 years ago. And I was just newly retired, and during training or when I trained for a fight, I'll have a pretty clean diet, but it wouldn't be like the very cleanest diet, but I would do it just because, I had a fight coming up. But then when I got done, I would just eat anything, I would just eat anything. And I would just like binge eat. And I was a few months retired, and I'm just sitting around. I'm just like, dude, I can't live like this. I can't live like this because I wasn't feeling good. My energy was low. I was kind of feeling like I was getting a little bit pre-diabetic. Like I would just, wake up and my mouth tastes like alcohol, and just kind of like weird things that I thought that I didn't really like. So I was like, I need to make a change in my life. And, I decided that I needed to start eating a little cleaner, but it didn't really come to me until like I had an experience, with some magic mushrooms, and it kind of gave me a download. It told me like, you feel like trash because of what you eat. And it said, if you eat death, you become death. If you want life, you got to eat life. And I was like, that is really, really strange that I had a kind of, I guess, a download hit me like that. So I just brushed it off as like nothing, right? Like, just maybe something that, just happened. But then I lost my taste. Like I lost my taste for meat.
So if you're new here, I'm Professor Spira. I practice something called the Mucus-less diet healing system by Professor Arnold Arrett. I've done so for over 22 years, and I've helped thousands and thousands of other people. Ever had any questions that you wanted to ask me personally? Then I want you to join the Mucus-free Life membership. When you do, you're gonna get direct access to me. I do 2 coaching calls per month. You bring your questions in, and we're gonna go through everything. We have 2 accountability calls per month. We have our own social media platform called Mucus-free Social. You also get access to the menu and recipe library. We also have exclusive training sessions, workshops with me, all kinds of fun stuff planned for the membership. My opinion is reading the book alone is not enough. So many people have read the book, but they didn't have the structure, support, and accountability to keep them on track, to decode certain things that were still confusing. That's what the membership is all about. You're going to have access to a community of people that actually care about your success. There's nothing else out there that's like this, because there's nothing like the Mucus-less diet healing system. This is one of one. You want to get the benefits out of it, then you're going to want to join the Mucus-free Life membership. Click the link right now. See you in there.
I lost my taste for meat, and I just didn't want to have meat in my body anymore. Then all of a sudden, like I stopped eating it, and I started feeling pretty good not eating it. And then like I started to read more about like the kind of foods and stuff that I should eat, because I was eating a lot of vegetables and stuff at the time. And then I read Arnold Arrett's book about eating fruit, and about, mucusless diet. And I was following Dr. Sabi and things like that. So I kind of started to really go down the path of just, conscious eating and just being, totally aware of every single thing that I put into my body, and the more I started doing that, the easier it became. The hardest thing for me at the time was being able to find those kind of go-to meals that I was used to having once I was eating anything, but once I found meals that I can eat that, gave me great energy, but at the same time made me feel satisfied, then I was good. I didn't look back or miss meat anymore. But then like the funniest thing started to happen, like, physiologically, it was like my body started changing in ways that it seems almost as if it's like, it was almost like supernatural, like as if like I was gaining a sixth sense. Like, I became very light sensitive, to the point where, the sun felt different to me, water tasted different to me. Like a lot of different things that I normally didn't notice started to really, change and everything. Air, it felt different when I breathed in. It felt as if like, part of my sinuses or something like that, it kind of unclogged. It felt as if like, and around the same time, I started to feel as if like my pineal gland started to declassify, and I can feel it. I can feel it. And it became very energy sensitive to the point where I would like hold objects up like a phone or something like that had an energy source, and I can feel it, and I was feeling crystals and all kinds of stuff that I never even thought had any kind of significance. And I'm like, oh, this is what a crystal feels like, and this is what this one feels like. And it got really crazy to the point where I thought I was losing my mind for a little bit, because I would have these sensations that was happening to me as if like I'm gaining a sixth sense, but I really couldn't explain it to anybody, because not like no one that I knew had that feeling or understood what that feeling was, or even heard anybody even speak about it, so I was for a long time just thinking like maybe I'm just imagining all this stuff happening. But I'm like, I was literally feeling energy, all over the place and on everything that I never even thought was even possible. It was absolutely mind-blowing. But it was a high vibrational foods that I was eating, and I was having like these crazy vivid dreams, and it was just it was an awakening, because not only that, my interest in everything started to change, and the kind of music I listened to started to change, and just a lot of different things that I was as a person, I wasn't anymore. I didn't drink any alcohol anymore, and I didn't want to put anything into my body that wasn't natural. So it was it was such a complete 180 from where I was at. Complete 180 from where I was at, and to be in this, in that place that I thought like really was just for like, people, trying to sell a product, oh, that's that foo-foo garbage that they're just trying to sell something. I didn't really think that it was real, So when I started experiencing it, I was bugging out for the longest time, and I really didn't know how to take it all in. So, that was the beginning of my experience, but I've been able to just continue to keep that going, because I don't eat like now, like my diet, people say, oh, how do you keep eating like that now? And I'm like, I eat for a feeling. There's a certain feeling that you get when you eat a certain way. And the minute you eat something that isn't that way, you feel it. Your body becomes so in tune with your body and what goes in it, So I like the feeling that I get when I eat these foods. So for me, it's easy to maintain a diet.
Yeah, man, that's really interesting. And I know there's a number of people in the community that had awakenings, because I don't know a whole lot about the mushrooms and the ayahuasca and that kind of stuff. We got some members of the community that talk about like that was something that where they were way far out just in their lifestyle, and just basically eating themselves to death, and then they had an experience like that, and that woke them up. And then it was like Mucus' diet, and then they just needed that one time, that spark, and then they got into the diet, and it was like, oh, and that's so that's interesting to me.
Yeah, man, it was crazy, because I never even would have thought that anything like that would come across my mind, because I love my meats, I love my porks, I loved it all, and I didn't care. I used to look at people who didn't eat meat like, what's wrong with you? My daughter, she went vegan, and I was like, oh my gosh, when she did it, I just couldn't believe it. I'll tease her about it and all that kind of stuff. But then when I was going through it, I'm just like, man, it was one of those experiences that just completely just changed my life, and just how my body started to change. As an athlete, I was so into it, I started to like, I started to even go down the path of being a breatharian, you know what I'm saying? But I was still training a lot, you know, doing a lot of like breath holds and just really learning how to savor every single breath, because breathing, it felt good to breathe. You know what I'm saying? And like breathing in the sun, that felt absolutely amazing to me.
Yeah. And that's because like what you're talking about, you're exactly right. It's very hard to explain that feeling to people that have never had it, or they just, because most people, the only way they can relate to that kind of feeling is like getting a high, or, you know, doing some kind of drugs or something like that. And, you know, and like what you're talking about, see, I experienced a lot of that when I would do long fasts. Now, I don't promote long fasts. I don't tell people, just tell people read the Mucus diet book, check out the rational fasting methodologies. But I've personally done really long fasts, and I would have those kind of experiences like where it's like the telepathy turns back on. You can see the past, present, and future. You feel like you just out of body type of, you know, you're in your body, but it's out of body experience. I mean, it's just all that thing. And what I noticed too is there's a point where you clean yourself up enough that never leaves you. Even when you do go back to eating things, it's like, unless you eat really poorly and you eat something that's too not good, you know, something too far down the rung, then you're going to go back to feeling terrible like you did before. And you're like, oh, okay, I can't eat that no more. Gotta remember that. But yeah, so talk a little bit about, the diet when you started working out, and sort of that experience of how the diet has affected your performance and your working out and training regimen.
It's given me cardio that I never would have even imagined that I could even possess. You know, what I like to do is, you know, I like to fast like the first 17 hours, you know what I'm saying? So I don't eat until after my first workout, you know. I'll have like some water, or like, you know, some tea before I go train, maybe like some Shilajit before I go work out. And then I'll hit a workout, but then afterwards I'll do like some juicing. I'll make a huge big old juice, you know, like maybe like 32 ounces or something like that. And I'll sit there and eat that, you know, and sit there and drink that. And that'll leave me full for a while. But then I'll start, you know, start snacking, having some like bananas and some dates. And because now I'm trying to stack up on some energy so I can have my afternoon workout, you know. So I kind of put I'll have like some melons. I'll have like the heavier fruits, you know, the heavier fruits right before I get ready to do that. Have a lot of dates or some figs or whatever. And then I'll hit my next workout. Then after that workout is done, then I'll have like a nice like a fruit salad or something like that, or even have like some greens, like some spinach or something like that. You know, just something very hearty. And then I'll have like, after that's all digested, I'll snack until I don't really want to snack anymore, because then because it's usually like fruit and stuff like that. But I like to go to bed if my stomach is kind of empty. So I stop eating around like maybe 8:30 or so, and maybe 9, because I go to sleep kind of late. Maybe and then I'll keep on drinking distilled water throughout the day, and it's got to be distilled water, you know. So yeah. So
people get so mad about, you know, they're just so like emotional about water, and they're like, what type of water? And I'm like, man, it's just distilled water.
Yeah,
like, I don't care what you drink. Yeah. No, you're supposed to, like, sorry.
Yeah, they want you to put the to go for the whole like alkaline water and all that stuff.
Yeah, right.
I like the distilled water. You know, I put some spirulina in that, and that maintains me throughout the day. You know, the spirulina, it acts as almost as if like it gives me like a third lung for some reason. Like I can just I can go without training for probably about a month, a few weeks, not training hard, but then step into the gym and train at the level that some of these guys are training for, that's getting ready for a fight, you know, and not gas out at all. And it's because of the fuel that I'm burning is so clean. Because I used to not be like that at all, not one bit. I'll go 5 minutes and I'll be absolutely dog dead tired. But now I'll put some time on the clock and just forget it's even there and just keep on going.
Yeah, you know, so a couple clips, clips under you, so, get a little workout in.
Yeah, so I mean, and it's cool. You know what's so cool is because I did lose some muscle mass, but at the same time, I'm not lifting weights like I used to and things like that, you know. So I do like a more or less like body weight workouts and stuff like that. And for me, like training myself is lifting weights, because the guys that I train with, these guys are big guys, you know. Like the guy that I train is Greg Hardy. And off season, he's like well over 300 pounds. Right. And that's the guy who I got to push around and move around, you know. So, you know, I'm not really too worried about how small I look on the outside. And that was something that kind of was an ego blow to me, you know, because people are like, oh man, you look kind of small. And I'm just like, you know, for a while I would kind of maybe a little insecure about it, but then I'm like, I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? Because now I understand that I don't need to looking big doesn't mean anything. You know, being big doesn't mean anything. It's how healthy are you? You know, what is the life of your cells like? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your lymphatic system right? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is all the important things that truly matter about body health? Like, what is that in your body?
Yeah, exactly. You know, as Eric says, vitality equals power minus obstruction. You know, that all that weight and all this, you know, the muscles and that's something that it seems like MMA guys know, whereas they're not, most of them don't don't bodybuild because they know that's obstruction, all that muscle. It's like, that's gonna get in the way and you gas out real easy like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, you when you got too much of that muscle you carrying and you got all that beef and you gas out quick. You gas out real quick. And I tell people, I'm like, listen, you know, they come to me, oh man, what do I need to do to lose weight? I'm like, yo, listen, here's what you need to do. And I tell them to eat fruit, maybe just for a few days. I'm telling you, you will lose all kinds of weight. It'll be healthy for you. Your body start feeling good. It'll start repairing itself, you know, and they're like, oh man, I can't do that. I can't do that. You know, it's not enough food. But I'm like, bro, you can, if you wanted to, you can sit down and eat a whole bag of apples. You know what I'm saying? A whole bag of oranges, and you can, you know, eat as much as you like, and you're gonna be good. No, man, because the sugar. And it's like, oh man, it's what your body, it's what your body craves. That's what your body wants.
Yeah, and how has that been like, just with, you know, kind of friends and family and coworkers and that kind of stuff, just with this type of change? You know, how has that experience been, kind of dealing with folks?
It's been so. You know what I'm saying? I got some family members who are inspired by it and want to they kind of emulate it. You know, my older brother, he was a vegan first. You know, he started first, and you know, that was like the first seed in my mind that got planted, and then I started doing it as well. But you know, all of our other siblings, you know, they kind of dabbled with it for some time, but they're very interested because they see the changes that we've had. You know, and that's the biggest advertising for it yourself, is that, you know, I can go and tell anybody that I want to, but when people see you and you don't even got to say nothing, and you know, your skin looks nice and tight, you know, you have all the things that you get from eating clean, you know, you're like, dang, you know, then that's the best advertising for it. So I've had a lot of people you know, very interested, but I also had a lot of people like, oh man, bro, what about your protein, bro? What about your protein? Bro, you don't got no protein. I'm like, it's not even about that, because, you know, people don't realize that the protein that they're eating is not the protein that's actually getting made into protein. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of that protein they think they're getting is just sitting in their intestines.
Yeah. And it's the stimulation, and that's what you know, it's like you eat the dead animal flesh and you feel nourished because, hey, you know, it's like it props you up, but you know, it's destroying your body. And and so that's something that, because I've worked with a number of folks that were like athletes or professional athletes and bodybuilders, and the one thing they almost all had in common was they had lost the ability to have natural bowel movements. They just, they're you know, that they were like real close to like, here comes colon cancer, you know, just their whole GI tract was just trashed. And then it was like, well, let's clean it up. And we started cleaning it up and going through the transition diet. And then, wow, and they can still train. They're still great athletes. And that's what I try to explain to people. Because sometimes people will expect everybody that's into the diet to like, well, are you just can you do all this and you're a great athlete? Well, I'm not a professional athlete. You know, I'm a professional musician. I'm an academic. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm this other stuff. But we have people at the highest levels and all these different, you know, that practice a diet that are at the highest levels and all these different things. And whatever you work on and you bring it into, it's like what I've seen is, for the most part, whatever it is you did before is good. You're going to enhance it, you know, just unless what you did before was just like really not something you should be doing, it's gonna enhance. And so if you were a great athlete before, you know, then it like unlocks some whole other things like you're talking about, where you just feels totally, it's like, wait a minute, I got more energy, I can run circles around folks, you know, it's that kind of experience.
I want you to look right here. Here's another great video specifically for you, so click right here and I will see you over there. Peace, love, and breath.